Something absolutely incredible is going on in Thailand right now. For centuries, it's been known as a place that's, well, really resistant to the Christian message. They call it hard soil. But today, that same hard soil is seeing a spiritual revival on a scale that almost nobody thought was even possible. So let's get into how this is all happening. Just listen to this. This is from someone who was right there on the ground. It just perfectly captures the feeling of it all. I mean, picture it. A beach, hundreds of people filled with what they said was this inexplicable joy, and they were running, literally running to get in line to be baptized. You just can't fake that kind of thing. It's a scene witnesses said was straight out of the book of Acts. And look, this isn't just a few isolated events here and there. We're talking about a massive movement. Since this whole thing started, more than 64,000 people have responded to the gospel. And every single one of those is a person, a story, a life completely turned around. So this brings us to the big question, right? Thailand is one of the most devoutly Buddhist nations in the world. For so many people there, their culture and their religion are the exact same thing. So how on earth, in a place with an identity that strong, is a movement like this not just taking root, but absolutely exploding? Let's break it down.
Okay, so first things first, to really get how amazing this is, we have to understand the backstory. For generations, people have called Thailand hard soil, and there are some very real reasons for that. That saying, to be Thai is to be Buddhist, it's not just a cliche. It's at the very core of their national identity. So for many Thai people, even considering another faith can feel like you're turning your back on your own culture, your family, your whole heritage. And that, historically, has been the single biggest wall. And you can see just how big that wall was in the numbers. After 200 years of Christian missionaries working in the country, research uncovered a pretty shocking fact. A full 95% of all of Thailand's villages had zero Christian presence. None. Most Thai people had never even heard the name of Jesus. The challenge just seemed impossible. Until, suddenly, it wasn't. So what changed? What was the spark? Well, the catalyst wasn't some big new program from the West. It was this really unlikely partnership between two very different guys, a local Thai pastor and a software developer who just happened to be the son of American missionaries.
So on one hand, you've got Pastor Somsak. He's an indigenous Thai pastor with this very grassroots, relational way of doing things, all driven by a powerful divine vision he received. And then on the other hand, you have Dwight Martin. He grew up in Thailand, but came back as an adult with a background in software and a real love for data. One guy was led by the Spirit. The other was driven by data. Now, for years, these two guys were on these, parallel tracks. Somsak was just faithfully growing his house church movement. Meanwhile, Dwight was busy building this huge database, literally mapping out every church in Thailand. Then, in 2016, Somsak gets this massive vision to plant 1,000 churches. And just a year later, Dwight's data confirms that staggering 95% number. So he goes looking for a partner on the ground, and he finds Somsak, whose vision was the perfect answer to the problem Dwight's data had just uncovered. So they team up, right? Vision meets strategy, but the real secret sauce here, the engine behind this whole thing, is their unique method. It's really sensitive to the culture, and they call it the go and find method. And the process they came up with is so simple but so powerful. 4 steps. First, they go. They don't just put on an event and hope people come. They walk down every single street. Second, they find. They're looking for what the Bible calls persons of peace, people whose hearts are just open. Third, they share a relationship with Jesus, not a Western religion. And fourth, they start discipling them right away, right there in that person's home. Now, this next part is absolutely key. Instead of talking about sin in a way that can feel shaming in Thai culture, they talk about something everyone there understands: karma. They present the gospel as the good news that Jesus can set you free from that endless, crushing cycle of sin and bad karma. And that simple change in framing has been a total game changer. You might be wondering, where did they come up with this brilliant method? Well, when you ask Pastor Somsak's wife, Raji Rot, her answer is incredible. She says, "We just read what Jesus and Paul did in the Gospels and Acts and do the same thing. It wasn't from some modern textbook. They just read the Bible and did what it said. It's that simple." And another huge piece of the puzzle is the house church model. New believers aren't told, okay, now you have to go to this strange, intimidating church building. Nope, the church comes to them. It starts right in their own home. It creates this safe, comfortable place for them to grow in their new faith. only after a whole network of these little house churches pops up do they plant a bigger central church, which is usually packed from day one. Okay, so you have this amazing grassroots movement that's working incredibly well. But how on earth do you manage the growth? We're talking tens of thousands of new believers scattered across thousands of villages. Well, this is where the programmer comes back in. Dwight Martin used his software skills to build a tool called CapTrack. It's a custom smartphone app, and it lets the teams in the field log every single new believer, right down to their photo and their GPS coordinates. And then it tracks their entire discipleship journey and the start of every new house church, all updated in real time. And this is what that data looks like. Just look at that map. Every single one of those dots is a person. It's an incredible picture of the scale of it all. But the tech makes sure it's not just about big numbers. By tracking each individual, they can make sure nobody gets lost or falls through the cracks as the movement grows. And all that tracking is tied to a really intentional step-by-step plan. Every new believer is walked through this 26-week discipleship process. It starts super simple, just learning to pray and build a relationship. Then it moves into the basic stories of Jesus, then to actually studying the Bible for themselves, and finally to core Christian beliefs. It's a clear roadmap from day one to a mature faith. All right, so we've seen the history, the people, the method, and the tech. Now let's look at the results because, wow, are they something else? And then we'll look at their staggering vision for the future. So their first big test case was a place called Pitchit Province. This was classic hard soil. It was ranked 70th in the whole country for Christian presence, with fewer than 500 believers. The team decided to go in and strategically reach every single village. And the result? Well, you can see for yourself. It went from one of the least reached provinces to the fourth most reached province in the entire country, with over 19,000 new believers. They proved the model could work on a massive scale. And based on that incredible success, they've laid out this absolutely audacious plan that spans decades. The end goal? To see a house church planted in every single one of Thailand's more than 84,000 villages. They are literally moving systematically, province by province, to cover the entire nation. So this whole story leaves us with a really fascinating question. What happens when you take a simple, ancient faith, combine it with a deep respect for the local culture, and then you power the whole thing with modern, real-time data? Well, it looks like the answer is unfolding right now, right across Thailand.